Everybody hear me? Okay, great. Let's start with meditation. Just make sure you're sitting comfortably. The spine is straight. The body relaxed and at ease, like a sleeping baby. But the mind alert, like you're watching your baby's breath when it's ill. And if you miss one breath, your baby may die. Learning the art of meditation, which is the balance of these two forces, the relaxation of the body and the brightness and vividness of the mind. Otherwise we'll just fall asleep, which makes us like an animal. We try to keep the body still, as this helps our concentration in the meditation. And to help ease our distraction to our conceptual mind, feel that on each out-breath, we let go of whatever we're thinking about. And allow ourselves to come into the present moment, which requires no thinking. So we're moving into a state of relaxation, alertness, and presence. Reflect for a moment. Bring to mind, to the best of your ability, a time when you are really cold. Maybe in winter the heating went off. Or you were camping and you couldn't get a fire going. You got caught in a storm. Reflect how much you want that suffering to end. Reflect how you never just think, oh, this is just consciousness. Reflect, you never just think, oh, this is all part of God's plan. I'm really happy to be freezing cold. There is a deep wish for it to end. Right now there are people dying of cold. We know that in the winter there will be some people who can't afford to heat their homes, some people in their old age, and they will die as a result. But reflect on how much suffering they will be in as they literally die of the cold. That feeling that you have, but worse. That desperate wish for it to end. Think of a time when you had to sleep outside, if that's happened to you. Or you got stuck outside. Or stuck somewhere you didn't want to be. And you were scared. If that's never happened to you, think of a time that you were threatened with violence. When you're being threatened with violence, you don't think, oh, this is just my mind. Maybe especially if you're outnumbered and it's a real threat. Reflect on how much you want that suffering to end. Or you have nowhere to sleep and you have to stay out all night. This is what it's like to be homeless for many people right now. Cold and afraid. Reflect on how much you cannot bear this suffering to be. Most of the time you have an easy option out. Reflect how grouchy you get if you get mildly hungry. And think of a time when you haven't got any food and you can't afford to buy any. How intense the suffering is and how much you want it to end. But maybe some of you have never even gone a day without food. Just the feeling of hunger, but really painful and scary because you don't know if you'll get food. Reflect how important it is that you eat, that you have shelter, that you have warmth. Like visualize yourself, remember what it's like when you get warm. And the change of that suffering and how important that is to you. There are many people, it's happened in the United States, made homeless by the hurricane. Many people in Syria, Palestine, made homeless by war. It can happen anytime. Visualize yourself there, freezing, starving, and terrified. How important is it to you in that moment when someone walks past with a nice thick coat, one of 17 that they own, and they don't even look at you, just leave you to rot? God's will, is that what just comes to your mind? It's just consciousness. Is that what comes to your mind? All you need to alleviate the intense hunger is 50 pence. And 500 people walk past you. The only thing that happens is one person spits at you. How does that make you feel? How does it feel when someone comes with a nice warm blanket? Because they've seen you and they've gone out of their way to care. And they put £20 in your cup and bring you some hot soup. Does it matter to you? When you walk past a homeless person, that's exactly how they're feeling. They are you. What's the difference other than labels? And the people that walk past you, they had legitimate concerns, didn't they? They had to have their 500th CD. They had to have that extra comfy couch. They had to go on holiday to Mallorca, didn't they? That's crucial. And you are very happy for that to happen as you're freezing, starving, and terrified. How does it feel to be bullied? Remember that suffering. Remember how much you don't want it to happen. When you philosophize away that you just want things to flow in life. And you don't want to do things with your mind to create good karma. What's it like when that good karma comes to an end? And once again, you find yourself in a new job somewhere else, and someone seriously bullies you. How would it feel for another person to come in and protect you and end the bullying? How would you feel towards that person? Blasé. It's all mind. You'd probably cry with happiness, and you would love them. How does it feel if you're traveling somewhere and your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere? It's very cold at night and you don't have any food. And the car drivers just drive past, the few that pass. Does that matter to you? How does it feel when someone who is kind stops and helps you out, tows your car, feeds you, and gives you shelter? How does it feel if you're in a government building and you're trying to navigate a very difficult situation? Maybe you've been falsely accused and you're in a police station. How does that feel? Do you think it's just mind? How would it feel for you, for the police person, to look upon you with compassion, understanding, and just allow you to go? You can think of your own numerous ways in which you suffered, in which other people are suffering right now. And their wish to be free from that suffering is exactly the same as yours. Think how wonderful it would be, if I could free all these beings from these sufferings. How wonderful it would be if I had the power of mind, that wherever I went, I could relieve all these kinds of suffering. Only a Buddha can do this. I must awaken so I can free all beings from suffering. I must awaken so I can free all beings from suffering. Make the connection that awakening is when you understand the emptiness of your mind. You're continuously at peace. And you don't need a special couch or a holiday in Mallorca, because you're perfectly content all the time and perfectly able to help everyone in every situation to the best of your ability. That's what I want. Feel what it's like to be the one that you're relieving suffering from, and feel what it would be like to be the one who can do that. Contemplate in these various ways until this intention arises. I must awaken so I can free all living beings from suffering. We hold that intention. Gently relax your concentration and just come back to the breath. The feel of your body, spacious awareness of the present moment. Feel the room around you. And as we move out of meditation, try to retain the feel, very gently, of awareness and bodhicitta. We'll take just a minute to move, to stretch. So this is the mind that we're generating, protecting when we do these vows. The way to as Carlos Castaneda says, the active side of infinity. Very beautiful phrase. The Christ, in the Christ consciousness, we understand that. The Christic aspect of being in the world with people and what it means. The essence of the Christ teachings is, how do you feel when you're experiencing misery? How do you feel? How do you feel when you're lonely and everyone just ignores you? How do you feel? Does it matter to you if someone comes and makes friends with you? What a Bodhisattva does is essentially move out of the crowd, move out of the comfort zone. How many of you find that when your life's going well, your practice kind of slips off and you just subsume into the pleasure zone? You forgot about anyone suffering. It's all about me. Yeah. All of us, we do it all the time. It's not easy to be Jesus Christ. That's what we're going for. We're not going to aim less, but because we all know the truth of it. Well, we understand emptiness, we understand the world we're creating depends on our actions. So not only are we helping others, we're helping ourselves. When you feed someone, you're literally feeding yourself in the future life. That's to help us do the action. But the main thing we want to get into is that feeling. It's me. How do I feel when someone doesn't put money in my cup because they decide that I wouldn't spend it wisely? Even though they're bringing in $2,000 a month. Just put in a fiver. No, they'll spend it on drugs. As if you won't. Yeah, as if you won't spend it on the drug of Netflix, or the drug of your little power trip with your friends, or whatever drug that intoxicates your sense of self, right? And it's just luck that things are going well at the moment. Yeah, just wait till the Chinese invade. Just wait till the Chinese invade. Yeah. And you're homeless with no hope of, you just try to find shelter in this, you just, please help me. That's how people feel right now. It's not like you just can't see them with your eyes. When we're training bodhicitta and we're training sadhana, we're remembering them every day, all the time. It's why we meditate, it's why we practice. Or, you're just meditating for your own self. It's like a higher refined pleasure that you're after. And then you get to the point where you can't even bear to be around people, right? Because it'll disturb your awareness and it'll bring back the person. It's really off the charts, right? Like this arrogant, proud, holier than thou consciousness that doesn't want to get involved with anyone because it'll take them off their perch of blissful, peaceful stillness. Anyone slip into that trap? So we remember the only thing that this is about is love. The only reason you go into a retreat is because if you spend too much time with people, you just fall into a ball of delusion, attachment and delusion, and you get lost, right? That's what I mean, like we get lost. So when we go on retreat, it's just to come back to that space, but we're never forgetting. We're doing, but we've, say, 5-6 times a day, we're going for refuge and generating bodhicitta, love. The whole thing is about love. When we say love, it's not about you, right? Yeah. And you're going to remembering the love of, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's the love of others. Just, it's good to be reminded, right? To be pointed out. So you have we just fall into a mandala of me. What can I get? And a bodhisattva is like, what can I lose? Yeah. What can I give away? Like, you should hopefully, I've been practicing for a while, by now have the mentality that you don't own anything. And it's just, when can I give it away? You're just like, you're like a banker. It's not your money. It's not your stuff. If someone comes and they say, "Oh, I need that," you give it to them. If someone says, "Oh, I need somewhere to stay," you stay here. So, yep. You don't push it on anyone. We learned over time that's unskillful, right? We become overburdened. We're generating the intention for that to have the power to do that, and it doesn't ruffle us. That's what we're asking God for. Give me the power of mind where I can help everyone at all times, and I'm always happy about it. This is a bodhisattva. We're training, right? Don't feel bad. It's like, that's an incredible, that's what we're bowing down to. That's what we prostrate to. That is Christ. That's what we love. Why do we love it? Because we do that meditation. And what's it like when someone protects us? What's it like when someone feeds us when we need it? What's it like when someone loves us, helps us? It's the most important thing in the world. Isn't it? Yeah. So these are the ways to help us get there, to change our mind. But we need to meditate on this wish all the time. Like, that's what I want. Remember, we're being advertised to all the time, telling us what you want is a car, a holiday, a career, a partner, and samsara, all the time. So that's why we have to remember, it's not like some Buddha's like, how can I punish them? I know they've come for like meditation, liberation. How can I punish them on the way? That's not the thing. It's like their mind is subsumed in samsara. It's like, how do I get it from there to there? It's like you have to motivate yourself. Of course, hopefully when you come to classes, it reminds you, hopefully, every time. Oh yeah, that's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. But you need to do that yourself. That's the sadhana, that's the point. So number 39 in these guidelines. Not returning help to those who benefit us. We should always remember the kindness of those who benefit us and maintain the intention to repay them. If we completely forget their kindness, we incur a secondary downfall. So when you're reflecting on, if you want to reflect on the past, you just remember every time someone's kind, when they were kind to you. Doesn't matter how many times they hurt you. You remember when they're kind to you. Now, that alone, you see, that is an unbelievable training. Because if someone harms us, we can forget, and I know being in the spiritual realm, you can forget 25 years of kindness because they did one bad action. Oh, well, he done that. Well, he's not a proper spiritual teacher. It's like, it's incredible, right? So if someone, at any point, you just remember, if they lend you some money, or just gave you some money, you need it, it's like, wow, that was really kind. You didn't have to do that. So you're basically thinking good of people, right? And remember it all the time, all the time. I think when you get into like Islam, then it's like, the only thing you don't leave the world in is in debt. It's like you pay back your debts. Pay back the kindness. Same thing, just remembering the kindness. Never taking it for granted. No one ever has to help us. No midwife has to come round. If we're giving birth, the midwife says, "No, I'm staying at home, I feel sick." What are you going to do? Force them? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Someone doesn't want to do something, what are you going to do? You can force them. You say they were forced to do it, therefore they weren't kind by the government. No one can really force anyone to do anything. They might have met a spiritual teacher and said, all of your midwifery is like samsara, go and realise your mind, and they're just off on that day. When someone's kind, they're kind, and we have to remember it. Or not just remember their bad things. How does it make you feel? Any more truthful? Or the emptiness studies? Is there any more truth in it? It's just your story, isn't it? Your projection. You project it, and then you rattle off some stories about what you're projecting. Make yourself in pain. We're crazy. We're crazy. We're literally crazy. Yeah. Only Buddhas are sane. This is the number 40. Not relieving the distress of others. If we meet people who are beset with grief, and we have the opportunity to comfort them and yet do nothing, we incur a secondary downfall. So, we're following a nice theme here of loving people, caring for them, feeling for them, feeling them out. Again, it's always making sure that we're not doing nothing out of a delusional state. And if the opportunity presents, if you can, if it's there, don't push it. Yeah, don't, oh no, they're grieving, I'm a Bodhisattva, I have to go and help them. No one likes someone pushing into your life. We all understand that. Yeah, this has to be restated because of our the shadow side that happened in our Christian culture, which is just being a helper without any wisdom. Yeah, beautiful intention, but that's the pathway to hell, right? Good intentions. We understand that context, so it's very important to be restated. We're still being natural, to bring that natural sense into our Bodhisattva training. So we can do the same that we did with the meditation. What's it like when you're grieving, someone's trying to just give you lots of hugs and push? It's not nice. So being a helper doesn't necessarily mean doing something physically. If someone is grieving, we can think about them. And we know from mystics and many people, if we pray, it has an effect. We pray for them. 41. Not giving to those who seek charity. Just on that note, you can experiment with your partner. Just be nice to them on the outside, but inside think, you're a fucking wanker all day. And see if it affects them. Then you could spend the day, then you could experiment, stay in different rooms, and all the time just think horrible thoughts about them. See if it affects them. From people's expressions, everybody knows it would. So it's exactly the same as prayer, but prayer is more powerful. It affects them. Just because you can't see it, it doesn't matter. So whichever one helps you get that faith, the negative side of thinking what it's like to be around someone who's like angry in the house and how it affects you, or when it's positive. The anger can be more of a helpful analogy, because when it's positive, you generally just slip into it like you're healthy. And you don't notice that because you've got a nice mind, everything's going well. And we often don't make the connect. But hopefully by now you have made the connect that when you're meditating and practicing and you've got a healthy mind, generally things go better in your life. Not giving to those who seek charity. When beggars or others in need of our charity approach us, we must try to give them something. Okay, so we know what that something means. If we refuse for some invalid reason other than miserliness, we incur a secondary downfall. If we refuse out of miserliness, we incur a root downfall. Now we're getting into the realms of actually breaking our Bodhisattva vows. So miserliness, that greed, that's like the antithesis of love and being a Bodhisattva and helping people. Like you just don't want to give anyone your time. You don't want to give it to anyone. Out of greed, not out of sadness, Losang, not out because you're not capable. That's not what we're talking about. You just don't give a shit. Yeah, you don't give a shit about people. Imagine like the 1%, the 1%ers mentality. I just don't care. It's just I want more. I want more. I want to keep it for myself. Yeah, and we do understand very well that if someone is a junkie, when you give them money on the street, chances are they're going to spend it on drugs, and it might kill them, and it might be worse. Yeah. If someone's got a gun and they ask for bullets from you, don't give them bullets. Yeah, that's right. It's like skillful giving, but we don't ignore them. And you could, whilst you're starting your training, just give. If you haven't done it before, give for a year. Don't judge. Don't say, oh, I'm a wise Bodhisattva. Just someone you see, someone with a cap, give. So you get that habit. Then you can develop the intuition of when to give. Money. You give prayers and love. And you can walk past saying, may you be well, may you be happy. May I free you in a future life. May you awaken. May I be your spiritual guide. May I awaken and then guide you out. Don't be a miser. Smile. Smile. Do smiles affect you? Do they? And so you're there, you've done the meditation, you're sitting there, people just like walking past ignoring you. What would it be like if someone turned round? What would it be like if Muji turned round and smiled at you and then walked on? Have any effect? So we're getting the drift here. It's like we just think we're inside others. This is our practice. Not taking special care of disciples, 42. If we have disciples, we must help them by guiding them along the spiritual path, and as far as we are able to, provide them with whatever they need for their Dharma practice. If we do not take special care of our faithful disciples, we incur a secondary downfall. So that's like if they need money, you try and give them money. If they need comfort, you try and comfort them. It gets to different realms when you go into tantric initiation. in which if you have given direct permission to have your ego smashed. Yeah. But then that relationship's built up from this, where you come to your spiritual guide and they need help, and they help you every time. And give you advice, give you comfort, go for a walk with you, watch movies with you, do this, whatever, as much as they can. Until you have that understanding that they do actually care. Then, say, the tantric initiation is different from that point. That's proven, like you've established it. Mum loves me. So now Mum's going to not give me the, I want this. It's like, well, I know you want it, but you can't get it. All right, now you have to go out and do this. I don't want to. Well, you've got to. Yeah. So if you start getting disciples, you have to be, you have to, as much as you can, exemplify these Bodhisattva teachings with them. Yeah. That's not being overbearing, not pushing into their lives. Just whenever they ask for help, you're there. Generally, everything's done by request. So unless you ask to see the spiritual guide, and they're not going to come around to your house knocking at the door. It's not a personal relationship. Yeah, and it is good to have, until the consciousness is mature enough to awaken into itself. And that means you don't compare yourself with anyone. It means you are enough of a refuge unto yourself that when society changes and the opinions of the crowd change about spirituality or a person, you're unaffected. You've got realization inside yourself. It's not affected by what's happening. When you're like that. Until that time, it's helpful to have someone in your life, or for other people for you to be in their life in such a way that they look up to you, or that they've got like a beautiful projected, because we're projecting, right? A projected image of their highest values and their highest qualities, and it's like a refuge, a hope. Of course, when we go into, say, Dzogchen and Mahamudra, then hope has to go. So it's not getting too close, as the phrase in spirituality is not too close, not too far. That's how you want to be with a spiritual guide. If you get too close, you can get burned in different ways. But generally, if you get too close, you think you get personal, and you think, oh, he's your mate, or you just think they're really ordinary. So, for example, I'm not even going to do it because I don't think I've ever done it. I've never said Venerable Geshe-la's name. So I've never called him Dave. The equivalent of, you know what his name is? So Venerable Geshe Kelsang Gyatso. Kelsang Gyatso. Rinpoche is an honorific. Precious. Means precious. Geshe is like Lama. It's just the Gelugpa's way of saying Lama, Geshe. So it's always Venerable Geshe-la or Geshe-la. Never, every single time said his name, it was an honorific. La is an affectionate honorific. But to say his name, like the Lamas, it's a bit incomprehensible for me to say. I wouldn't even want, I'm going to have a pretend Lama. So let's say the Dalai Lama go, Tenzin, all right? Hey, Tenzin, I'm writing to him, hey, Tenzin, what do you, this is my ideas about practice. Incomprehensible. Yeah, so the referring to Venerable Geshe-la as Geshe-la, it's like, he's not my mate. He's not my mate. It's not he's not interested in me. He's trying to destroy me. That's his job. His job is to destroy me. Totally. I just saw fortunate that he did it with kindness. And as I've gone on and, in the very small amount of things I've experienced, and people tell me about their teachers and lamas, and not having guru goggles on, it's just an exceptional master. Exceptional. And I was speaking with my brother about him the other day. We're like, can you remember a time when he criticised anyone or any tradition? It's like, no. You know what I mean? They had a thing with the Dalai Lama that came up, but all he was doing was asking for a debate. It's like, debate me. And the Dalai Lama wouldn't debate him. Which, if you investigate Tibetan Buddhism in any way, I said before, their school, because the Dalai Lamas are Gelugpa, they're from the same tradition, it's debate. That's what the Dalai Lama is. It's like you go into like 3 days of debating when he gets his Geshe degree. I think it might be on YouTube. It's just debate. So if you bring in any point, you have to debate it. And he brought in this point, going, you shouldn't do this practice. And Geshe's like, yes, we can. It's up to us what we want to practice. And it's like, let's debate me. Wouldn't do it. Then he asked him a couple of times. But that's the only time we could didn't criticise anyone. Never put anyone down. Never put any tradition down. Just taught the Dharma and was just unbelievably kind. Didn't get into politics. And he said to me, never, ever get involved in politics. And then I think it was the next day he came out with the Dalai Lama. And then you had people in the Sangha pressurizing you to get involved. It was a very amazing experience. Amazing experience of what it means to stand up for yourself. So you find you might have students and then it's like, it's game on, right? So there's one thing you want to do, and that's never give someone any advice that you don't do yourself. Right? I'll just warn you on that. If you want to feel guilty, tell someone to do something that you don't do. 43. Not acting in accordance with the inclinations of others. What about following your own truth, though? What's your own truth? Where are you? Did you find yourself when you're doing the meditation? When relating to others, we should try to please them by conforming with their wishes whenever possible. Unless, of course, their wishes are wrong and would lead to great suffering. So from one point of view, that means you would never act in accordance with anyone you ever meet, ever. If we ignore the wishes of others without a good reason, we incur a secondary downfall. As you notice, I noticed, when it came to the pandemic, the Buddhists have this sycophantic, agreeable, we'll follow whatever the government does, society kind of thing. Because that's us doing this Bodhisattva vow of just easing into what the people want. What's the good of conforming to suffering? So there's only realized minds and unrealized minds. And a realized mind won't interfere with your dream. So a bodhisattva may just do whatever the person's wanting and needing done. Help them binge on their Netflix program, buy them a box set. And this whole agreement we have of Guru Yoga, the Bodhisattva path, the Hinayana path, Tantric path, are just levels of agreement where the Lama can disagree with because the way we live is suffering. And say the realized ones will just give us what we want until we're ready to be challenged. So you don't breach someone's world unless you've got permission. You might be an enthusiastic new spiritual meditator, and you don't start telling your mum and dad what's good for them. Right? You just help them. So if you can help them, if you can please your mum and dad, you do it. You don't need you to tell them it's all just a dream. So whatever it is, whatever craziness that will come up with an initial enthusiasm, and it's often because we've had a beautiful experience, or we've seen the truth. Have you heard the good news? Yeah. Have you heard the good news? It's like, no. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we turned it off. Now piss off. I'm watching the golf. Leave them alone. So we know what it's like to be a sycophant. Yeah. It doesn't mean that. It's just being agreeable, just being a nice person. But if you've got students and you've got permission, you shouldn't be too nice. Or at least on the Dharma throne. But if you're given like enough stuff like emptiness and it's shaking your whole world up, and that's what we want, then you just want to be really nice as well. It's like, it's okay, because at the same time, it's like my Lama said, you want to get to the state where you're like, what's happening? What's happening? And that's where we want to go. That's what we're aiming for. Just everything we thought and held on to is turned upside down. Gently, we want to go there, but at some point you still you have to reach the stage where you know that you can't know anything. Here's another interesting one. Not praising the good qualities of others. Number 44. If we see someone whose conduct is a good example for our Dharma practice, we should rejoice in his good qualities and praise him. If motivated by envy, pride, jealousy, or some other delusion, we do not praise him, we incur a secondary downfall. One of my favourites to observe. Yeah. So if you see someone who's just naturally kind and loving, friendly, and they get on with people, and you've got this hidden jealousy, you call them a 2 on the Enneagram as a put down. And then it gives you this holier than thou sense. Oh, that's just 2 on the Enneagram. That's him being a 2 on the Enneagram. And it's just pride and jealousy. Because you can't get on with people in the same way. And you're slipping from the Bodhisattva path. Instead of just going, they're amazing. Look how friendly they are. So charitable. Always helping. I wish I could be more like that. Brilliant. Well done. The only person, well, I just said it, but I've said it, I know how many times I have to say it. I have to keep saying it. The only person the Dharma teachings are for are you. The only person the Enneagram is for is you. I said we can, as Father Richard said, you can play parlour games and it's fun. You go, I wonder what Enneagram type they are, and it's like something to chat about, right? You just be very careful. If you start getting into like judgment, then it's just delusion hiding in a map in order to, usually jealousy, envy, or you got some anger about their personality types you don't like. So you use the Enneagram as a way to denigrate them. Ever done that? That's right. Someone's really able to meditate, be self-contained, very stable and present inside. Oh, they're a 5, distant and aloof. Instead of just going, wow, you're an amazing meditator. I wish I could be more like that. You know, it'd be great if I could take on that call and be inspired. That it's like that sense of someone being stable, meditative. Someone who's fun, right? They always just see the light side of things. Brilliant. What should about that? Someone who's capable of depth. Like they can't just be light. They have to bring in meaning. Yeah. They see meaning in everything. Like someone's like having a stupid conversation, they go right to the heart of it. Well, what's the meaning of that? And it's like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, they can always bring it back to some Dharma subject. Yeah, you can watch Bill and Ted and bring it down to like this deep emptiness and compassion. It's amazing. So it's not too bad. Like, you don't need to put yourself down all the time on the path. Like, be praising people is a good thing. Yeah, can't be that bad. Like having a good sense of self. If having a good sense of self was an obstacle on the path, then praising someone would be destroying their spiritual path, wouldn't it? Because you just praised them, you just made them feel better. Yeah, you understand? That healthy sense of self. So that's these incredible, beautiful habits to get into, right? Whenever you can, try and help someone. You just think good things about people. Say nice things about people. This is the Bodhisattva way. Okay, there's 2 more to go on the secondaries. 45. This is one for people with repressed anger. Always love. Not doing wrathful actions when appropriate. There are times when it is necessary to resort to wrathful methods, such as speaking in a very forceful manner, to prevent someone committing negative actions or to subdue his or her pride. If we realize clearly that such a time has come, and we know that our wrathful action will greatly benefit him in the future, we incur a secondary downfall if, for some incorrect reason, we do not carry out that action. I remember when I was harassing my little brother, for whatever reasons. But my big brother pushed me and grabbed me by the throat. I went, stop it. That was it. That was the end of it. Didn't do it again. Like, didn't do it again. That was the end of it. It's really helpful, isn't it? When you're just like off the charts and one of your friends just like really sit you down and go, you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing this and you're doing that and you've got to stop it. They might like, it's not pleasant, right? But see, you don't want to like, you need to not react to that. You need to just let that, it's not pleasant. Yeah, the ego takes humble pie. But hopefully if you're on the path, you're like, yeah, I wasn't doing my best. It's like, and you really thank them that they cared enough. We're not talking about someone who's on your back all the time. We're talking about someone who maybe once or twice in the time you know them really sorts you out because you're engaging in a consistently negative action. Or, you've done something really stupid. Rahima.
I'm just wondering if you can clarify how it has said that you'll occur a secondary downfall, but am I right in saying that that would only occur if you were consciously aware? Because if you're ignorant that behaving in this way would help, like if you're
Yes. In the beginning, it's almost like this vow's meaningless to us because we get angry at everyone. It's like maybe get your anger under control, but then we essentially slip into what we're talking about, what I was talking about earlier on with the Buddhists complying. They're so afraid of anger. They're so afraid of speaking out that you're so afraid of anger that it just becomes about you. It just becomes about you and the karma you're going to create. And when you get angry, it's a bit messy. It's messier when you get when you sit down with someone and go, what's happening? And why are they saying this? But if one is a very reactive person, they get angry about everything, you can't tell. But if you're genuine, you're kind most of the time, you're stable most of the time, and you see someone's doing something that's not good. There's a very interesting transition here when we're talking about emptiness in the class. And one of the things that happens is like you start losing the ground that you stand on. And is this all my mind? What's real? Is everything like morally relative? Yeah, these realms that we go into. What is a woman? Yeah, is it just imputation by mind? Yeah, we're going to like very interesting realms. So what Muhammad, what he did was we take things externally as real. So if someone's doing a bad action, take it as that. If you see someone stealing, that's a bad action, and you stop it. If someone's saying bad things about someone, that's a bad action. Don't be like that. Their internal relationship with God is between them and God. You don't have to judge them. They might be a Buddha. You can relate to them as a Buddha, but you go, that's a bad action, I'm going to stop it. So you don't fall into this worry that, and people, this is very important, especially if you go to other spiritual places, or maybe, I'll slip into it, or other people will in the Sangha. They start saying, oh, it depends on your mind. Oh, it's because of your self-cherishing that you're seeing that. And then it can start to control you. I think it's called gaslighting. So there's actually a simple analysis. If it's caught on film, there's a camera, it's filmed. The guy said that, and it wasn't nice to that person. Like that kind of objective clarity in how to behave and with the actions around others, until you go into your relationship, the only relationship that changes with the spiritual guide, where it's like you're seeing them as a Buddha no matter what. If you've taken on that relationship. But generally, it's like you don't want to lose that common sense. Buddha's like that. Don't do anything that goes against your common sense moral goodness, even if it's me. If I'm saying something that doesn't make sense to you, then ignore me. So it's very important that the relationship between that person and God is their own. They may well be doing something by saying some harsh words to someone. They may themselves be doing a good action. It's like it's basically try not to go there. Like you don't have to judge them. You don't have to attribute the act to their personality. It's just that was a bad action. Yanshin.
Yeah, considering what we were doing in the meditation, where we know that people will die this winter because they can't pay their electricity bills, or there's part of me that would believe it was right action to turn a blind eye if I saw someone stealing something from a supermarket. I can feel that there might be and this might be wrong, but that intuitive feeling of just take it. But that would be a judgment that I've made, that they need it and they're stealing it for a particular reason. So I think I would have a bit of difficulty with is it arrogant of me to decide whether or not I say anything?
Great. That's what we want. You to have difficulty. Yeah? That's what we want to be challenged. We want to... Who's right? Is what Buddha's saying right? Am I to be a robotic? Just, well, there's some rules and do I just say that? Well, essentially, we're saying, as a general guide, err on the side of someone stealing is a bad action. But if you have been practicing meditation for a long time in the spiritual path, you develop wisdom. And you think, how can you steal from a corporation? You can't, because there's no person there. So they're actually just taken back. Is Robin Hood creating bad karma? Nope. Yeah. So it's not like something you can just ever, we never want a set of rules. We just go, right, that's it now, I just say this and do that. So different things have different times and associations. The main reason I'm saying that is so no one can mess with your mind and put you into moral relativism about yourself. You generally know what's a bad action. And if someone tries to kind of emotionally blackmail you or gaslight you into thinking it's okay to sleep with underage girls, or it's okay to walk up to someone who's just walked into the ashram and say, I want to sleep with your wife, because, that's the spiritual teacher and he's allowed to challenge you, and you just go, every part of you's gone, that's wrong. Then it's wrong. Right? That Buddha's saying, I support you in that. And a lot of the spiritual path is developing courage to stand up for your own truth. So a lot of the times, and Tilopa would do this with Naropa, he would get him to do something to see if he wouldn't do it. Obviously, like, that's an intense relationship that they've got. But sometimes you'll let something play out just to see how people react to it, to see if they will stand up for themselves, if they will stand up for truth. to see if someone will stand up for the person who's desperate and hungry, and the governments have crushed them, so they've no money, so they have to steal. They've taken their land, they're this and that, and that's what they've resorted to. So that's things you have to figure out yourself, right? You can't have a rule book, a rule book for every situation. These are guidelines. So I hope that makes sense. Like, the more wise you become, the more you bring in the emptiness, the more you, in your relationship with others, can see two sides to everything. This is why they wouldn't let Lao Tzu or his disciple be a judge, because he put the councillors in jail. It's like, no, you're at fault as well because you own all the land. They're like, we've got to get rid of this guy. It's like it's a relationship between stealing and ownership. So I say, I'm just trying to protect you. So just as a general basis, you just kind of know, well, that's a bad action, and just take it on that value, rather than get lost in your practice of emptiness with it. I hope that makes sense to you, Yanchin. I can't actually see your face, you're in the shadow. But okay, last one. This one's for Baron. Not using miracle powers, threatening actions, and so forth. When we perform wrathful actions, we should use whatever miracle powers we have. Otherwise, we shall incur a secondary downfall. Okay? However, many realized teachers, such as Tsongkhapa, have said that the time for displaying miracle powers is now past, because these days people are likely to think that we are engaging in black magic, with the result that Buddha Dharma will be brought into disrepute and our own safety may be threatened. Therefore, we should follow the example of the Kadampa Geshe, such as Dromtonpa, Geshe Potawa, and Tsongkhapa. Though they possessed potent miracle powers, they never displayed them. Outwardly, they always remained like ordinary people, never claiming to be in any way special. They lived among ordinary people and helped them principally by encouraging them to cultivate love, compassion, and bodhicitta, and by teaching them all the stages of the path to enlightenment. Nowadays, this is the most useful way for bodhisattvas to act. So, you want your spiritual guide to be someone who's just very ordinary, doesn't claim to be special, doesn't display anything, doesn't like stare into your eyes. Doesn't stare into your eyes, doesn't speak in that slow way, just like they're ordinary, like they haven't got any realizations. Just encouraging to be loving and kind, helpful, good person, celebrate, engage in the stage of the path. As in, don't just go into Dzogchen and be like a spaced out yogi. Help people, be in your community, have a family, have children. Make sure you're kind to your mum. Do stuff for your family. Ordinary. Yeah, so Venerable Geshe never said he was anything. The only thing he says, I'm just an ordinary monk. Although my brother's convinced that he heard him say, my mind, my consciousness pervades all of space and the universe. But I wasn't there, so I can't. He's convinced he said it. But he may have said mind pervades all of space, but he's convinced he said. He didn't sit there and any display. He would get excited. He's telling a joke. He would always say, if I don't know something, he'd always say, please correct my English, it's terrible. It's like, I'm a laziness person. I mean, his only attachment, he said, was to cheesecake. He said, I've got attachments to cheesecake. It's like, and then his disciple would sit and tell us what he's like. He's omniscient, and he's just like in a pure land, blissed out, and this is how kind he is. This is what he does. And other people would say that he'd never say. And if you go like to Tibet, it's like they never say they're enlightened. It's something because the ego can get in. And who's enlightened? The self? What self? So it's a good way to be, to avoid the holier than thou attitude. Zen mind, beginner's mind. It's always a nice. But the ego's very cunning, very tricky. So taking the position that we're ordinary is always good. And as much as possible, we always want it to be learning, right? So if you're with someone, it's like, what can you learn from them rather than what can you shove onto them? Unless you're in the position of a spiritual teaching. Yeah. So you might not, spend time around a spiritual guide when they're with other people and they're not in that role. If they're sitting there telling them about the Dharma and special, or if they're just being ordinary, kind, maybe taking the lowest position in the room, maybe say something that makes them look stupid so everyone else feels better. Or if you've got pride, it's like, that's why it's good to be a fool. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone can ask anything. This is the last class. We have a week off after tonight. Okay.
Can the wrathful actions vow not be a bit of a double-edged sword if you don't have any wisdom?
Yeah, if you don't have any wisdom, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't have any wisdom, then it's just anger.
But if you've got enough of a good sense of self to say that something is, the self feels like something's wrong, like somebody's doing, and it could maybe be, like, say it's spreading some kind of information, an example where it could potentially turn people away from Dharma, let's say, spreading some belief system. And you say, well, it's maybe not quite like that, but you're using your own intellectual kind of, it's not, you're still a hypocrite in a sense, but I don't know. It's an example of something recently that happened, and intellectually I knew something wasn't quite right, but also maybe from a little bit of the knowing place. I didn't quite know how to navigate it, but I did. I said something, and I felt that was the right thing to do, but also this little bit of kind of maybe wasn't done entirely skillfully. I went a bit overboard. Yeah.
Yeah. So you notice that the two kind of come together, like the miracle powers and the wrathful actions, kind of in the same kind of bracket. Venerable Geshe kind of links them. Generally, we want to be wrong, take the lowest ground, be patient, kind, loving, selfless. So if someone's got a different view on the Dharma, debate them in a nice, soft, kind manner. And if someone's like being stupid, then that's you being angry at them or wrathful's probably not going to change them. Yeah. So the example I gave is like with my brother, or like, and it's just like people that you're actually going to affect in a positive way by speaking out. Challenging someone's ego directly almost never ever changes someone. You have to be in a very kind of loving relationship, and they have to be able to take it. A lot of people can't. They may resent you. Like a year later, it'll just sit there. But you spoke to them like that. I have to be very, very careful. But generally, when I'm doing the Bodhisattva practices and training, I want to be giving. It's giving love. Say giving fearlessness, which is part of that. Disciplined, holding our tongue, not thinking we know better. Thinking, how can I learn from this person? Patience is the big one. Not tolerance. So when someone's being like that, and you understand that's my karma coming back. I said those words, and they're rebounding back. It's like, how can I love them? That's your default position. How can I love them? And if you think that shouting at them or like saying very forceful is your way of loving them, great. But if it's like some kind of egoic pride or, I've got the right position, like as if you know the Dharma, right? Yeah, I've got the right position and I'm going to say something back. Then you want to work on the other stuff. There's a lot to work on. Let's like save the wrathful thing to you can just if someone says some stuff, you can just be at peace and you just want to give them a hug and that's right. There's no God. We're all just chemical scum. Give me a big hug. Right? When you can do that, then you can. I'm just going from my own experience of whenever anyone would say anything to me, I would take it on board and go, is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Was I doing this? Was I doing for a long time? Until there's such a cognitive dissonance between them saying something that I'm like and my reality of in like existential love towards all living beings. I'm like, right, that's projection. I've got it. And then once you know who you are and you know what someone's projection is, you can be quite firm. Samaya.
I was wondering if there's a sort of a second thought to hold, because when you go in the world and you're navigating reality or so-called reality, so the beggars and the people who are shouting about this or that or whatever's going on in the city, I can be an observer and go through, and then when I get into an action, the eye kind of goes whoop, and there's a contract, and it starts kind of making is it the right? So you get all the conceptual aspects and so on. I was wondering if there's a sort of antidote or a sort of a conceptual antidote to the acting eye or the judging eye.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that you're observing it. Yeah. So don't fight your nature. Recognize that the I is simply your thought. Whereas before, you'd think, oh, I need to do something. Me, a real me. But if you understand that this is just a conceptual thought, It's a conceptual thought that I'm going to help. It's a conceptual thought. That's liberation.
Keep that gap.
Oh, who's keeping the gap?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just recognize this is just another thought now.
So
It's recognized. This is another thought. And just then great. And then it's like be spontaneous. This is what spontaneous presence is. It's like you're looking at something, right? Just now. It's colours and appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know that it's you going, that's Noah, you know it's your mind. That's liberation. Usually we don't think that. You think there's a person there from their own side. It's just, this is just my mind. It's like this, the world, we got into language. You're not going into a vacuum, a nihilistic vacuum, where there's no people. It's like people could like many times people say, oh, I don't want to do a mantra because it brings back the person. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you meditating on? It's very nihilistic, right? There's no person. Of course there's a person. It's just your mind. But when you do the data yoga, you know that you're just making up an image in your mind. You're doing that anyway. It's just like making you understand that. And when you understand this is, then that's it. You're out in the world, and but it's all your mind, just reacting to your mind. That's the recognition we hold, and then this is the spontaneous play. It's just awareness itself. And we know that everything we're doing is just made up labels. Very beautiful. Like your baby doesn't disappear.
No,
it's spontaneous with it. Sorry, go on.
No, sorry, the mind. So yeah, the loving, then it's the joyful action.
Yeah.
You don't have to get too much into is it.
I was thinking of an analogy because I remember my mind. So the idea that our paradigm with our mind is different than what we mean by the mind. And I used to think, well, I don't want to control life because that would be like infringing on God's will. It's like I want things to just spontaneously happen, so I'll fall in love with someone, and I wouldn't want to make love myself because then it'd be contrived, right? So it's very helpful to understand, if I gave you a choice tonight that you could dream that you were going to be in love, a state of unconditional love for 8 hours, just utter unconditional love, like you're choosing to have that, or you choose to have a random dream where anything can happen like a nightmare. No one would choose the nightmare. Both situations, you understand, it's still just your mind. The nightmare is when you don't understand it's just your mind, but it is just your mind. And the other one is, it's your mind, so when you go in, you just love everything. It doesn't diminish the quality of love, it heightens it. That you create love, that love is your mind. It's not your mind as in there's a person here making it up and controlling the love. No. This is all that's ever happened to you is your mind and your choice. When you're dreaming, it's just your mind. But you choose a beautiful dream. And we all would. I wouldn't believe anyone that says, no, I'll choose to be chased by the hounds of hell and be utterly terrified and be in excruciating pain for feels like an eternity. No, you choose to create love. And when we're doing these Bodhisattva actions, that's for the world we're creating. And the more you understand the emptiness, the more you understand you're the creator of it. You're creating your own paradise. The more it happens. Like, say, with your baby, what you're experiencing right now, Shiva, with your baby, is your mind. Is that diminished? We think it's maybe somehow diminished because we're contriving it. We're not contriving. The whole thing is our mind. And it's beautiful. Yeah, love is there when we know it's our mind, and there's no love there. There's fear when we don't know it's our mind. And emptiness is to make us understand this is all our mind. And you know it. And then it's playtime. Very beautiful. And so you imagine you're just in that state, then you can just help everyone all the time. And it's just this spontaneous, beautiful dream. Helping everyone else. And so like tonight we'll just want to like emphasize that, understand it's a recognition, right? It's already the case that the love you have for your child is just your mind. It's already the case. It's not, or the love you have with your families. It's just recognizing it. That recognition is the liberation. That recognition is like we effortlessly hold it or be with it and rest in it. In that space, we can't do. If we do, then it takes us out of it. It's this relaxed being, choiceless awareness. It is the understanding that the person that appears to your mind is just conceptual. And there's nothing real behind it. Not that there's no people there. Not that, oh, the person came back. No, the person didn't come back. The person didn't go anywhere. It's just all your mind. It's not as difficult as it may like seem. But to be steady in that recognition, that's difficult. That's where the game's at. Maintaining it and not just immediately slipping into, oh, you're over there and I'm over here. They really have those qualities. So I think it's 9 minutes past 1. So tonight, hopefully we'll come around at 7 to set up. We'll start the class at 7:30. I don't know if people are coming around here to eat food before or do anything like that. But more than welcome. Anybody got any questions for tonight? You all good? Make sure you're wearing your dancing breaks. Yeah. And we'll hopefully just do a little bit before to remind us that we're in the Pure Land. This is our gathering together, like the tantric commitment to celebrate that you are a Buddha. You're not allowed to think you're not a Buddha. You're not allowed to relate to someone else other than they're a Buddha. Your commitment is to be blissful, joyful. This is what you're offering the spiritual guide, is everything is nectar. Yeah. So if you have any water or little sweets, it's nectar. It's all like God eating itself, and we're dancing in celebration and as let go as much as possible into ecstasy, where you lose control of the self that you think's in control. Yeah. This is what we'd like. I mean, still like you to be on your knees, writhing around, just This is what we want. Yeah, you don't know how you're going to behave because you're just overcome by ecstasy. Yeah, if you're about to run into a wall, I'll try and grab you. It's just a dream. I'm going to run through the wall. That'll be fun. Okay, so it's probably enough. So we've done the secondary downfalls. I hope you see how beautiful they are. I hope you catch the drift of what it means to be a Bodhisattva. And that these are obstacles that us develop in this unconditional love towards every living being in the universe. So may we, through our practice, develop bodhicitta, and where it has grown may it not decrease, but flourish forevermore. And may every living being be liberated from their suffering and abide in the eternal bliss that we call Allah. So, thank you very much. God bless.